Hello, everybody. Today we have Krystian with us, who's a senior product manager at Prime Audience. Now, Prime Audience use AI to better define advertiser audiences using proprietary LLM-based technology. Krystian, great to have you with us, and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Gareth.
No worries, no worries. I gave us a little overview there, but do you want to tell us a little bit more about the business and what you do within the company?
Sure. So to give a quick introduction to people not yet familiar with Prime Audience, hopefully there will be many more familiar with us after that. I'm going to start with saying that we are part of RTB House Group, which is probably a more known brand. We are a company that specializes in targeting, as you mentioned initially. We are an AI-based company or AI-based product where we try to solve the problem of finding the right inventory for our clients' campaigns. And we do this in quite a clever way, or I would say also trendy, with all of the AI buzz going around. Is what we do in essence is basically we allow marketers or media buyers to input a prompt where they describe their target group, whatever product they are trying to market. And simply based off just that, we are able to create a specifically tailored URL list that the client can target contextually in his campaign to deliver the results. So this is like the core, and we build additional features, functionalities on top of that. But I would say this is like the essence of what we do. And personally, myself, my role at the company is I'm the person responsible for data distribution. I would say this is like majority of my day-to-day tasks to make sure that once we generate this URL list, that the client can actually target it, whether it's through external DSPs. So we try to be DSP agnostic. We are part of RTB House Group, but we don't want to try to force clients to use our media buying platforms. So no matter which DSP you use, you can work with us. And this is my role to make it as easy as possible. Besides that, I try to be all around. So I help my colleagues in whatever topic they need help with. I would say like I'm as kind of a Swiss Army knife of AdTech, I would describe myself. So a bit all over the place, but main focus is data distribution.
Amazing. Yeah. I think I came across you guys recently on LinkedIn, and it just seemed really an interesting proposition because it's not something that I've seen in the market before. And I think you outlined like the core thing that the company does there. But what are the key features that make your company stand out? And do you actually have any competitors in the market at the moment?
I mean, we have plenty of competitors because like data targeting is not something new. I would say where we stand out is the methodology, like the way we do this. I think we are the first or one of the first companies to do this prompt-based targeting. Previously, the way that targeting was taken care of, you could either select a segment of the shelf that you think fits your target group or ask a data provider to create something custom. But the methods this data provider used or still use are more keyword-based or natural language processing based, which is slightly different than LLMs. So the technology is different, and I would say slightly worse because whatever LLM offers, the way I like to describe is the semantic accuracy of the categorization you have. So with keyword based, you can make mistakes. The best example I like to give, it's very straightforward and cliche. It's just the word Apple. You can literally target apples online, not the smartphones. Probably there's still much more traffic related to the iPhones than Apple as a fruit online, but nevertheless, there's still some risk related to that. And additional thing, like regarding competitors who try to use the similar approach to ours, where they will use this prompt-based targeting. The way we operate, we try to create the audience from scratch, really tailor made based on the prompt, where what we noticed is that what our competitors do, they don't really make it tailor based. What they do is based on your prompt, they select a set of previously created audiences that fit your prompt. So this is slightly different approach that might give you an illusion that you're receiving a tailor-made segment, but it's really not. It's just a combination of something that was already available on the shelf. Just supposedly it fits your needs.
That's really cool. So you're taking it to the next stage. I mean, you mentioned that your competitors are effectively just using it really as just an advanced search function for pre-existing audience segments, whereas you guys are
Not
going.
all of them, but I would say I would say this is how it looks like from our perspective. Of course, like we don't have access to the inner workings of every company on the market, but based on our general research, this is how most of the companies do it at the moment.
Very cool. But you guys are sort of taking it that next stage and actually using. Do you have then partnerships with the data providers, and is that how you've sort of built this out? Are you able to go that next step down and actually build bespoke audiences off the prompt then?
I would say we are trying to be the data provider. So we work more with the companies that help us distribute this data. So you can think of companies that provide data marketplaces like SSPs, which do it through either data marketplaces or curation. Or also we are looking into expand our portfolio of partnerships into DSPs as well, who have the capability to make segments available on their marketplace. So whatever the path to the end client is, we try to do it. Of course, we also sell directly because we have our own proprietary media buying platforms through RTB House Group or Outlook, which is also part of RTB House Group. So basically, whatever possibility there is. But since this is contextual targeting, we don't rely on any other vendor to provide us some kind of data. This is all proprietary technology.
Really cool. I think you've touched on some points there, but I mean, as a company, so you guys are obviously at the forefront of ad tech here. I mean, obviously the application of AI and LLMs to data, right at the forefront of what's going on. But I mean, how are you guys driving innovation in your company right now?
I would say our product itself is innovative, but just to dig deeper into it, I would say the curation is probably the biggest innovation that we are working on right now. It's been on the market for quite some time. I remember the trend beginning in like 2018, around that when curation was slowly becoming a thing, and I think it's really maturing right now on the market, where the what we see on the market is this data targeting shift capabilities from DSPs to the SSPs, and how you can, as a data provider, you have way more distribution channels available. They are more advanced because this is also coming from the expectations from the clients. You are not just data provider at that point, but you can use additional capabilities of curation, like inventory filtering to fit some specific additional requirements, like viewability settings, like you can implement brand safety on top of that. You can implement some specific formats or access to some inventory. If you have, as a curator, if you have relationships with some publishers, you can do that. So there's like plenty of more options or ways in which curator can add added value to the client besides just raw targeting capabilities. So I would say curation is like the biggest innovation on the market, but also for us, because this the main point for us is it's also allows us to sell the data or distribute it to clients who are contractually binded to other DSPs, for example. This is like also a challenge on the market, or it doesn't even need to be contractually binding. It can be just preference of the media buying team, like whatever the reason is.
Yeah, of course. It sort of allows you to add value to other media buyers that maybe are using other DSPs and therefore may not work with, I guess, your parent company there, right?
Correct.
Which is a benefit. Cool. So, in terms of AI, which is obviously the hot topic, how do you think AI is going to change the ad tech and media industry over the next few years?
I think it slowly already is. I think the main observation, like where I like to go with this topic, is that it's gonna be more difficult to get into our industry as a professional, simply because I would say it was already difficult beforehand to specialize, because the knowledge you need to either earn it through experience or really be on the lookout for what's going on in the industry. And it's like difficult to get the fundamentals going. So I would say the entry level bar is going to increase, especially because you're going to need so much more niche knowledge to be able to apply the AI capabilities on the high level. And I'm still speaking from the professional perspective, maybe less so of the industry as a whole perspective, is that when you are individual working in AdTech trying to apply AI, there's like so many ways that you can do this in. One is from the perspective of the product manager. It's like, how do you apply this in the product that you are building? What functionalities you want to use, either through LLM implementation, how you're gonna like beat challenges related to the scale, the pricing, the cost efficiency of the tools that you are building. So this is probably the biggest challenge, but one that I like to personally look into is, how do you use AI on the day-to-day basis as a person, whether it's to tackle your daily emails or report building or process automation. I would say I'm going to give you another example. As a product manager, let's say you are fairly new to the industry and you didn't learn SQL, and somebody asks you to get some kind of data from the database that you never worked with before. So you can simply now go to ChatGPT, ask for SQL query, and you're good to go. So I would say it's much easier as a person to be what I like to call T-shaped professional, where the skills, the side skills that you use less frequently are easy to be picked up with AI, and then you can specialize in your own niche. So from the employee perspective, or like the individual contributor, it's like interesting area to be in. And from the industry, like the business perspective, it's probably figuring out how to not overdo it, I would say. So just sorry to cut you, to finalize, just don't implement AI just because you have to. Just try to do it smart.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a really good insight there. I like the idea and the specific example that you have of somebody needing to know an SQL query, and maybe that's not, like you say, a core part of their job. It's just something they maybe need to do every now and again. But actually, it's quite a complicated thing. And ChatGPT now, for example, AI just makes that a lot easier. So maybe those sorts of skills they don't need to be trained. So, like you say, it's easy to be a T-shaped person. I really like that insight there. But in terms of how you guys are implementing it, so you mentioned a few things there, like helping you with emails, things like that. But is there any other ways that you're implementing AI in the business and for clients than other than what you've already mentioned? And are you seeing results?
I mean, for us, this is more of the core functionality that we described at the very beginning, where we use it for the prompt to URL list, or like prompt to the segment generation for the client. So this is like the base AI functionality that we use, but what we try to add additional layers or like features functionalities to that. So the viewability prediction, so like some forecasting stuff. So I would say AI is the core. Everything else is just added around that. And like I would say, to touch upon the results, I started with it, but I want to repeat myself. It's the contextual or semantic accuracy of the URLs that we target versus what we see that our competitors recommend our co-clients to target, is that we see that semantically we are significantly better thanks to using LLM based technology compared to keyword based, or like older methods that were available on the market before AI became a thing. And I think it also transitions from being semantically accurate, so meaning that I want to target hybrid cars, so actually I target people, articles related to hybrid cars, also transitions into the campaign performance. So whether you're looking for some brand uplift, if you're looking for CTR uplift, conversion rate, if you want somebody to sign up for the test drive, this semantic accuracy has correlation with the performance of your campaigns. So indeed we see results, and we try to publish case studies around that. And this is also the philosophy of developing our product for us, how we want to improve the end result for the client.
Cool. So effectively, obviously, you're applying it through your core business model anyway.
Correct.
And obviously that is driving results for your clients, I guess. Fab. So in terms of other trends then, so outside of AI, are you seeing any other trends in, and I guess you've mentioned curation, which is obviously a major one too, but are there any other trends that you're seeing outside of those two that you in the space that maybe clients should be aware of?
I think there's plenty of, to be honest. I think the AdTech industry is going through exciting period because there's literally so much going on. You have CTV becoming a thing and adopted more broadly. Curation, which you mentioned, up until recently, I would say probably the last year was very focused on privacy, like privacy preserving technologies. So I think it was important trend which became less important this year with Google's recent announcement. But nevertheless, I think it's still somewhat relevant. And also there's like other things going on with Google and the Department of Justice with the monopoly trials. So I would say in the industry, there is so much trends or like things happening simultaneously going on that if I were on the media buyer side of things, not the tech vendor side of things, I would say I would identify which of these things are relevant to you and try to follow them on the macro level, and then try to dive deep into some specifics that you find interesting, because like literally you have so many things going on at the same time. I forgot to even add, you have audio recently breaking through, you have digital out of home that you can buy through programmatic. So the progress in the media buying technology over the last 2-3 years was so rapid that it's, even as a seasoned professional, it's very difficult to follow everything. So I would say at some point you just need to give up and be able to select what matters to you the most. And I would say it's quite individual to make that choice.
Yeah, it's crazy. It seems like everything's changing, but nothing's changing. You know, it's it's such a strange industry to be in at times, isn't it? And yeah, I agree. So in terms of your business, what have you guys got coming up for the rest of the year, for what's left and beyond?
We are at the stage where we need to get more maturity, and by maturity I mean make it easier for clients to work with us, whether it's through automation, whether it's through better reporting. And I would say this and next quarter, we are focusing on that and improving our technology in the fine details. So to making sure that we are even better on the performance side of things. I think this is like the common for our industry. This is like the never-ending squeezing of the lemon, where you do it till there is last drop of juice left, and this is probably where we are right now. That we need to work on this without revealing any specifics. This is where we are.
Very cool, very cool. So just you feel like you've got the products all ready to go, and obviously you guys are already in production, as it were. But then you're just sort of refining and improving and tweaking the performance as you go into next year, right? Have you got any
Yes.
maybe some, without giving anything away, have you got any sort of major updates to what you guys are doing, or any major new products that you'd like to make, or features that you'd like to make anybody aware of?
I would say we try to make our product more hands-off, meaning that this is especially trendy with the AI. Like we have AI-based product, but this is also something that not many people like to speak openly, but we are at the stage where a lot of stuff is still done manually, and we try to automate the processes. So we try to make it so whenever a client goes into our dashboard, creates an audience, in order to start using that audience, there are still some additional steps that need to happen. So we try to make it so somebody can log into our platform, create an audience, and start targeting it right away, preferably within hours after creating it. He can launch the campaign. So this is where we want to be. We are very close to achieving that, and I would say this would be the biggest breakthrough in terms of activation speed. So it takes hours, not days.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think sort of more on the other side, we are sort of more on the buy side. Obviously, we do build our own tech as well, but we more use sort of third party vendors as well. It's interesting that you say it's about it's reducing friction in the usage of the product, right? Because there's just so many platforms out there. There's so much SaaS and so much ad tech that anybody can use. Obviously, we like to be at the forefront of the market, so we like to obviously get people into demo, and we have maybe, I would say, 2 to 3 product demo calls a week. Maybe not that much, maybe a couple of weeks. So there's so much tech out there that it becomes very difficult for people to keep up, and I think it's like tech vendors need to reduce the friction in using their product, make it as easy as possible. In the age of AI, I think the graphic user interface is sort of going away. It's going to become a lot more prompt based and automated, right? So it's interesting that you guys sort of seem to be moving in that direction.
I think you made a nice point here, because this is a trend in the industry that I actually see. We try to implement it in our product, but I see it all over the place, where the media buying thing in programmatic is such complex thing on the backend part of the systems that you use. Like whatever DSP you use, this is such a complex tool behind the scenes. But the front end, so the user-facing interface of these platforms are becoming significantly easier to use month by month. Every single platform on the market. So especially if you're like media buyer in the space, when you need to learn plenty of, if you work at a large agency, you probably use at least 2 to 3 DSPs if you work with many clients. So if you're a professional in that area, learning yet another complex platform, it's just gonna be difficult. So you need to make it simple. And I would say a few years ago, there was this, when machine learning was becoming a thing, before there was like machine learning buzz, before AI buzz, everybody was saying, oh, let our machine learning do the thing. You just press the button and let our algorithm works. And people were a bit scared of that. They were saying, oh, I want to adjust everything manually. I want to run my optimization manually. But I would say in AI era, this is slowly shifting. When people are beginning to trust the technology more and more, when they see the uplift specifically in the performance of the campaigns from using this technology, they are trusting more to let the algorithm optimize their campaigns. And this is a very similar approach which we try to achieve, while still leaving some room for tinkering to the clients who like to really dive deep, and they they have the resources to do more manual optimization. We still want to leave an option to do that.
Definitely, yeah. I've seen your UI, and yeah, it's very impressive from that point of view. I think it's interesting you mentioned there that people were a bit distrustful. That, in my opinion, in a previous life, having worked in pay-per-click and PPC, Google AdWords, people like Google, right? So they were obviously always trying to encourage you to go hands off. Our machine learning can do it. We can optimize campaigns the best. Why do you still want to go into the system and manage things? And it's like, yeah, but then actually the performance didn't deliver. If you had, like, for example, broad match keywords, which they were always sort of encouraging you to do, then that's going to just a broader audience. And a lot of the automated strategies would basically just increase your reach because they wanted you to spend money, right? So then it's like, it wouldn't improve the performance. But I think, yeah, that is slowly starting to change, and especially with the DSPs, which are more specialized buying tools, and they've got a more sophisticated audience than maybe just anybody who's using Google AdWords. Maybe that is starting to change finally. Cool. So yeah, what we like to do with the podcast is just round off with some quick fire questions for you. First of all, what's your favorite brand in the media or ad tech space, apart from your business, obviously?
I was thinking about this one quite recently, and it was difficult to make up my mind because I was thinking from this perspective. Probably, hopefully, my boss won't listen that far, but it's like, what company ideally I would want to work in, like from the perspective of being interesting in the very advanced in the technology, or being leading vendor in that area. And I want to give a shout out to one company that we closely work with. I would say Index Exchange is the company to be on the lookout for, simply because I want to give them some kudos. They have smart employees out there, and you can see it on the meetings we have with them, but also this is like my personal twerk that whenever I read a documentation from some vendor, I recognize a well-written documentation, and reading their files is always a pleasure. So you can see that there are people there which give extra effort even in the tiny details. So this gives me like a perspective that this is probably a well-oiled company, and it seems like they are growing fast. I was following what's going on with the company recently. They had a nice hiring streak of top professionals in the market. So definitely, if I were to be on the lookout for one specific company to break through, I would say Index Exchange is the one to look for.
Very good. Yeah, we've had them on. We've had John Tig from Index on. Yeah, brilliant company. Okay, and an individual in the space you'd like to give a shout out to, and why?
There are like so many of them that it's very difficult to select someone specifically. So I will, if you don't mind, hopefully, maybe I won't limit myself to a single individual. There are like quite a few.
Sure.
I would say Alan Chappell and Ari Paparo are two guys that I like to. I haven't met personally, but I follow them online. They post a lot of content that you can really follow what's going on in the industry, and they share their opinions, I would say, in a more unfiltered way. Because when you follow uh, employees of some larger companies, they are shying away from sharing their unfiltered thoughts. But with these two individuals, I always like to follow them because it's more raw and unbiased, uh, simply because of their history, like where they are with what they do on a daily basis now. So it's always good to get their perspective of things. So it's unfiltered, and it's better to take that into account. And there's like one more person that I like to follow, and I had a pleasure to chat a few times with. It's Alex Kohn from Google. He is the product manager working on the privacy sandbox. And I would say why I'm gonna also name him is he was like leading the product things on the privacy sandbox, or like working with it. It was hot topic over the last 2 years, and just making himself available to have a conversation on whatever topic. I would say this impressed me, especially like how much was going on at the time in the industry, and like how under pressure he was. So I definitely need to recognize that, and looking up to people like Alex, definitely.
Very cool. Very cool. And finally, the number one lesson you've learned since starting in the industry.
This is also a good one. So I like this section a lot. So I would say my personal experience is that to always stay curious. No matter how many years of experience you had, no matter what products or like what you delivered, like what you did, the industry is always evolving, and there's not enough hours in a day for you to know everything. So you need to be able to first acknowledge that you don't know something, and be able to take it in. And I would say, to be able to do this in a fast pace, uh, you need to kind of be like a sponge, so to soak it in without overloading yourself, but also working on your fundamentals. So the more you know about industry inner workings, easier it is to add to that. So I would say, just to summarize, staying curious and learning from others who are specializing in their specific niche or area is always a good thing to personally develop. So this is probably the best advice I would give somebody trying to break through in the industry, to stay curious. As cliche as it sounds.
No, I think it's a very valid one. Like you say, with things changing as they are, no matter how long you've been in the industry, something's always happening that maybe you're not aware of, and there's always something new coming along, right? So, yeah, very good advice, Krystian. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, and we'll speak very soon.
Yeah, thank you, Gareth. Thank you for having me.
No worries.